Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
Hi, and welcome everyone to today's podcast or video cast. I'm not even sure what it's called exactly, but welcome today. We're glad you're joining us. We're men from Rise Church, and we get together to talk about issues of fatherhood, issues of being a man, issues that we've dealt with, mistakes we've made, victories we have, all of the above. And our hope is to be as authentic as possible. And we're intentionally trying to reach a generation of fatherless boys and men. It's an epidemic in our country. There's challenges that come with not having a father in your life or not having a man who does life well in your life. So we're here in a very small way. We're hoping to fill part of that gap and speak to issues. We're not here to preach to you. We're really just here to share our lives, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. And in doing so, hopefully paint a picture and give you some guidance on your road to manhood or your road in manhood and as your role as a husband and father. So that's our hope. That's the purpose. This podcast is sponsored by Rise Church. We deeply appreciate their support. We do want to say this, though. We may say things that don't quite reflect what they think 100% of the time. I mean, even among ourselves, we may say things we don't agree with each other, but we want to make that clear. We don't always speak on behalf of the church. We're really kind of just being open amongst ourselves here. So what we say is our own words, and it's not necessarily on behalf of the church. But we do deeply appreciate the church's support in this. With me today, I have Chris Lawler. Chris has been a member of our church for 100 years.
Yeah, it seems like one. Dog years, anyway.
A longtime member in our men's group. And Frank's, he's the young blood here, but he's been 7 years, we were saying, 6-7 years?
6-7 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. And currently our men's group is held at his home, and it's a great group. I love it. And he cooks for us, and he really goes all out. It's really neat. And my name is Rick Rivera. I've been part of the church for 20 years. And I'm glad to be here. I feel honored to be here. I love that we have this opportunity to do this. Mm-hmm. And I love that I got these guys who jump on board. There wasn't like, well, let me think about it. Yes, I'm in. That's and you took the bait. Yep, I got two suckers, and they're working out really well. So, and I deeply appreciate him being there. So today we're going to try to address one. We have one question we want to put on the table, and we want to talk about it, toss it around, see what we thoughts are. This may or may not apply to you where you're at in your life. If you're already past this point, it'd be fun just sitting here and listen and see how your answer would have compared to ours. If you're going through it, this is I think a good thing for you. And if you're young and you're not at that point in your life yet, that's okay too. Hold on to any nuggets you get from it, because one day you'll be where this question is at now. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm getting fancy with no paper or cue cards. We're doing all electronic. Here's the question. Do you have any tips for a successful marriage? We were talking about this earlier. It's a very broad question, and we could narrow it down. We'll get better at narrowing it down. But in our lives, as we go through lives, you run across things that you pick up, real nuggets. And that nugget helps you in your marriage, helps you understand your wife, helps you be a better husband. So I'm asking two guys who've been down many years, hard plowing here, and asking you guys, do you have any tips? So you're talking to a man who's just married, maybe married and struggling, or not married yet. So I come to you. I'm getting married next week.
Okay, first
what
off,
do you got?
If you listen to Apostle Paul, he says your first tip is don't do it. Because it's going to complicate your life. It's going to pull you in so many different directions. You're going to throw yourself into the taffy puller of life, getting married. And, for Paul, he was saying, look, if you can be like me, if you can roll like me, do it, because everything gets a lot simpler. But if you must take a wife, then there's ways to do that that will increase the chances of things working out well. My number one first tip, is don't get married until you're married to God first.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't have that relationship with Christ, you are going to be eaten alive. Yeah. You're just going to be a dried out husk of a man after marriage gets through with you if you're not backed by the numero uno up there.
Right.
If you have made that deal with the Lord and you have the Lord in your life, you put this whole idea of getting married, of taking a wife to yourself, involving yourself in a completely different person with all of their history that comes along with them. You want that to be a decision that you enter into with the Lord's arm around your shoulder, guiding you and directing you.
Right.
That's my number one tip. And I yield the rest of my time to my friend here, Frank, but I'm going to reserve more comments later on. Go ahead.
And with that being said, I know very well the side of marriage that didn't do that and what the outcome is.
Yeah.
And it's a really tough thing. You think you're doing things for the right reasons, but it ends up being that, you're way off. So you're right about what you're saying is number one, in knowing the Lord and really knowing what the Lord says about marriage and how you need to be prepared for marriage. It's a process. It's a process. From what I understand, when I first came to God in the church, pastor told me at least 2 to 3 years to court before you make any moves on even engagement. Is get to know every bit of everything you know about each other, even your little dark secrets that you don't tell anybody else. It's so important. Mm-hmm. You're right about that.
Take time to get to know them.
Yeah, in fact, I've been developing 25 conversations you need to have with the person you think you're going to marry before you get married. Because you got to chew these things out when you're free and clear, when you're two independent people coming together, looking down the line. There's things, very simple things like, whose house are we going to go to at Christmas?
Yeah.
Your parents or that parents?
Right.
Who's going to hold the money?
Yeah.
Are we going to be in joint checking accounts or are we going to be separate checking accounts? And of course, if there's kids involved, there's complications go all over. And the beauty of this is having these conversations before you say I do gives you the liberty to really think independently.
Yeah.
Because once you're committed, all those same questions take on a completely different character. Yeah. Because now it's no longer an option to say, well, you know what? This is a deal buster between us. Let's not do this. Let's walk away in peace.
Yeah.
Wish you well. Wish me well. Let's not combine. But once you've said I do, that's not an option anymore.
That goes back to knowing the Lord before you get married.
Yes.
You understand, I'm making a vow before God in front of witnesses to honor this woman and take care of her for the rest of the days. There's no exit in that, There is no exit. But if you don't have that, what does everyone say now? Oh, it just wasn't meant to be. It's better for the children if we split up, which is so wrong. But that's the mentality. And that's why what's divorce at 50% right now?
Probably higher, man. I don't know. But
it's a coin toss.
And it's the same percentage in the church.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Because we're just human beings. That's what it is.
Not to get ahead of myself, but I just want to share this because you're saying what you're saying is, I remember I've been divorced, and I remember sitting in church, broken, divorced, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, man, I'm just about to learn about marriage. And I had already been divorced.
Wow.
Married 10 years, divorced with kids. I have never heard a conversation. I never paid attention to a conversation. Nobody had ever talked to me. My father never talked to me about, the man and the woman, the marriage, the this, that, nothing. And I'm sitting there, a grown man, weeping after a divorce with 3 boys, and just learning for the first time what marriage is before God. Don't let that happen, man.
That's crazy.
You can't let that happen.
Right. And you were a church attender at the time.
Yes.
But would you say not devout?
Well, I was a baby Christian, so I was learning. I was probably already a year in the church. I'm still was trying to figure out all these things. We actually went together to church when I was married a year prior. And then I didn't know that I was going to end up getting married a year later. I'd be sitting there alone.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I mean, all these things I heard is a lot of stuff you're saying. And I never heard that before. I didn't even know what courting was. I thought that was like in ancient times that you would court someone. I didn't know that you were still supposed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Times have changed that whole courting process.
Yeah.
It doesn't even really exist anymore.
Russian.
There's no, I was in Mexico one time, deep Mexico. And the way you met girls at that time was you walked around the church, around the plaza.
The plaza, yeah.
And if you saw a girl you'd like, she would be a chaperone by an aunt or a cousin or a sibling. And then you can go up and talk, and you can walk around the church together. You don't dare touch.
Yeah.
And you're chaperoned with a little small army of people following you.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was so sweet and romantic, and I thought it was so nice. But you talk about courting and moving along slowly and don't rush into it. That's heavy.
You know what's so real quick? What's interesting to me, and I think you're right on, is I think everybody portrays marriage when you're young as I'm in love with her, I love her, I want to be with her forever. But when you're talking about the finances, the kids, who does what and who takes responsibility, those things are never talked about. You're right about that. That's key.
Yeah. And the number one reason a man seeks out a woman is because they're hot.
Yeah, it's looks.
They look great.
Yeah.
And that's the weakest measure to choose a wife.
That's right.
Because those looks, even for the best of them, they melt.
Yeah.
Like an ice cream cone in the sun.
Yeah.
And then what you're left with is everything else that comes along that's in that Winnebago that she's dragging behind her.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
And there's no way to know. There's no way to know. If you're a young man and you're kind of looking towards the day that I'm going to be married, you got to realize you've got a puppy on a leash. You ever taken a puppy for a walk that knows nothing?
Yeah.
That's what Junior downstairs in your shorts is like.
Yeah.
It's a puppy on a leash that knows no bounds. It's going to drag you to everything that it wants.
Yeah.
And if you give your life over and let your bus be run by the puppy down below, you're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah.
Because it has no understanding, it has no wisdom. It just wants what it wants.
But I think we're straying off the road here a bit. What advice would you give? What advice would you give a young man? Your son's getting married next week. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have to give to him? I've already heard some good ones, though.
Yeah.
We got some good ones down.
When I've done a few weddings, officiated a few weddings, and when that task came to me, I kind of didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I sat down and before the Lord, and I kind of had a revelation that when you think you're going to get married, here you have this woman that you're going to be sharing a life with, and you're thinking of the most wonderful vows that you're going to promise, I'm going to always be faithful to you. You're going to be the light of my heart. I'm going to take care of you and your children and never leave you, and all these other promises you would make in the bull rush of love, of affectionate feelings. But you're a fool if you make that arrangement with that other woman. You don't trade your vows with another human being. And you don't want her to promise you a whole bunch of stuff, one human being to another, because we're human. We're flawed. Yeah. Our ability to follow through on a promise is extremely weak. You take those vows and you direct it. You make a deal with God.
Yeah.
For the sake of that woman. Okay, so here's my wife, Susan, there. But I'm not going to promise you anything, Susan. Mm-hmm. I'm going to promise you, God, that I'm going to submit so you can change me into the kind of man that can love this woman that belongs to you the way that you know that she needs to be loved. And that may be completely different than what I had in mind.
And if you, that is true, but if you still take it a step back a little further, the reason why you can say that and the reason why that comes to your mind, I believe, is because of your experience and what you should do. But here we have, I'm going to say like my kid. I have a 19-year-old son. He has a girlfriend. I'm already telling him, it's because the conversations come and go. It's never really about marriage, but it's about how I feel about her. What do you think, Pops, about this? And I always say, remember, you're not just going to marry her. You're going to marry all of her, which is the family, uncles, aunts, father, mother. Now, I'm not going to say, if she's from a divorced family, she's no good. No, that wouldn't be right. But at least meet the father, meet the mother, meet the brothers, the sisters, the family, what's going on in their life. Because there's a lot of physical issues. There's a lot of brokenness that's not dealt with. So you must know now what that causes. And you know what? Unfortunately, but fortunately, in our home, there has been some of those examples to where they could see what happens when you're broken and when you come and bring the past and now you're dealing with it as an adult. So I tell them, you got to look at those things. So before you can come to, because it's a huge thing to write those wedding vows for people. I mean, they prepare for a year before.
That's why a lot of them don't write it. They go with the standard boilerplate.
Yeah. So, but to get to the point where you're saying what you're saying, I think it's important that we reach out to not only our kids, but any young men or women that we have an opportunity to talk to or mentor and let them know, understand that it's all beautiful and everything when you're in love. But in order to keep that love going, you have to have a greater love. And that's Jesus Christ, man. You got to have that fire for him, and that's how you'll be able to love the way that you're writing it down.
Right.
And then to keep that reality, the stuff that you write, to keep that you put in writing for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's like you said, it's not easy. It's going to take some work.
Yeah.
I think, tell me what you guys think about this. A lot of people don't come from a home where they saw a healthy father doing life well, a healthy mother, and they have this beautiful, loving relationship. And so when you don't come from that, you do not learn these tools.
Right.
What do you learn? You learn the opposite tools. You learn how to fly off the handle when you're angry. You learn how to scream. You learn how it gets even worse. You learn everything wrong, overreaction, all the stuff that hampers a marriage, holding secrets from each other. So a lot of people are raised in an environment where they're learning everything wrong.
Yeah.
And that comes back to what you're saying about knowing God. My wife and I, we came into marriage, and the one thing we realized is we know nothing about a healthy marriage. My wife, her mom's been married 4 times.
Yeah.
And never knew her father. My mom's been married 4 times. My dad's been married 4 times. I was raised by a grandmother who was a single mother. What in the world did any of us know about marriage? We had no idea. But we knew we didn't know. And that's like the starting place. I need some tools in my toolbox. If you ever work on an engine or a car, try to change a tire, you have the wrong tool, you're dead.
Yeah.
You have the right tool, life's a lot easier. Yeah. And so you need to get these tools. So the one simple thing we did, we went to pre-marriage counseling, and the pastor said, 3 in a chord is not easily broken. When you wrap 3 chords together, you can't break it.
Yeah.
And he's saying, put God into your marriage. Yeah. But although it sounds nice, the practical expression of that for us, we had this habit. Every morning we get up, we pray together, and we read the Bible together. Now, sometimes I'm falling asleep during it. Sometimes we're mad at each other, so we're just minimal words necessary to get through it. But most of the time we're enjoying the conversation. And that's a simple little act. And it's been 2 minutes, it's been an hour. Sometimes I got to go to work early and got to do something like that, whatever the situation is. But every day we've done it. And my gosh, if I have not loved the marriage experience, and if it's not been beautiful to me, and I feel, and like especially Frank, when you're sharing your story, I feel like I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we were brought back to the premise of it's God, and that's helped us, and it's taught us, and so the one advice I would give, and this seems funny, but in my humble opinion, it's a real secret to marriage, is abide in Christ together.
Yeah.
And let it be a devotional book you read together, and a prayer time for your family, or it doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be formal, but every day connecting in God will draw you closer to God. And as you draw closer to God, you're drawing close to each other.
You know, may I say something real quick? You just reminded me of something. First and foremost, above all, you both have to seek the same God. Because if you don't, and it's like, well, she'll come to my church, or he'll come to my church, or, well, he wants to pursue it, he said. He doesn't know God, but he wants... No, man. You know, you got to worship, you got to love, you got to pray, you got to read about the same God.
Yeah.
Because or else you don't have a chance. I mean, at least that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, that's got to be one of those questions you have to hash that out.
Yeah.
Whose church are we going to?
Yeah.
Are we going to be Methodist like your family, or are we going to be evangelical like my family?
Yeah.
Right.
Because, man, that issue will come up.
Yeah.
Once the bedroom cools off, all these things rise to the surface, and you got to deal with every single one of them.
Yeah. Right.
But you mentioned, having that three braided cord, folding God into that marriage. A lot of young people, myself included, kind of had this paradigm idea that God was going to be like a referee in our marriage. So that we're trying to work with each other, but if something goes foul, then we go to God and say, all right, God, make the call, make the decision. If I can't get her to do something I want, then I go to God and say, God, make her do what I want to do. That's not the paradigm of God being folded into your marriage.
Right.
God is on your bench. He's not in that game.
Yeah.
He's on your bench coaching you, not her. God is coaching her from her bench. And her relationship with the Lord is a completely independent and beautiful thing. But she's on her own path of transformation.
Yeah.
And I'm on my own path of transformation. As long as you see that the help that I'm going to receive is going to come from God at my back, coaching me, He's not going to get in the middle and make my wife do something.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for frustration if that's what your image is. So if something needs to change in your marriage because it's not working well, almost always the answer is I'm the one that has to change.
Yeah.
I either have to adapt to the reality of what my wife is presenting to me and endure it, or suffer it if I have to for a portion of time until she's done with the transformation going on in her, or I've got to change the way I'm looking at things so that I can get the burr out of the saddle, and be more comfortable moving forward. That's a pretty strong tip right there.
It is. It's challenged a lot today. I see these guys on YouTube talking about how unfair the man-woman relationship is. And they point out all these things that, hey, men get the short end of the stick because. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, they're just boys. We're called to be the priest of the household. We're called to take care of our wives. It's not about us at this point. Take care of our wives. And the beautiful thing is, I've said this before, a woman will always outlove a man. Now, there's no 100% in anything, and I'm sure it's to different degrees. But generally speaking, a woman will always outlove a man. If you give her 100%, taking care of her, watching out for her needs, putting her first, you'll get 200% love back. But the challenge is, what does love mean to us? Oh, that means more bedroom time. It means, and that's where we go. But no, the love she's giving back to me is taking care of my children properly, the things that are most important to me in this world. Loving me in ways I don't even appreciate or know. Like, I used to tease my wife. I'm the kind of guy, I'd wake up in the morning and we both got out of school at the same time. We'd had to do an externship, so we were broke. And I'd jump out of bed, hey, let's take the kids to Disneyland. Let's go. That's who I am, right? And the kids get all excited. Oh, man, we're going to Disneyland. This is great. And out of nowhere, honey, we need money, and it'd be something lame, like, we have to, get a new pipe for the sink or something lame. And I started calling my wife Fun Nazi. I know, it's ruthless, dude. It was, oh, come on, Fun Nazi, you're killing me. And the kids are all now mad at her. It was really messed up.
With what you're saying, it brings something to my mind. And I think this could be something truly important in a young man or even in an older guy like us. And we were talking about it not too long ago, but in the men's group. But the first thing, what we don't realize that we walk into as young men or men into a marriage with, that's the first thing that needs to be stripped is pride.
Yeah.
Because pride is what keeps us from loving our wives, from we want to talk over them. We don't want to listen to them. We don't want to hear what they're saying. We want to argue. It's pride. Pride is what cuts that cake in half, man.
Yeah.
And I think that even as a young man, before you get married, check yourself. Because pride will destroy your home, will destroy your children. It's something that we've been taught, that we grow up with. And I think that's the very thing, or one of the things that keeps us from truly having that relationship with the Lord. We don't know how. We don't understand what an impact it has. You know, whatever father you had or didn't have, you could say this, and that about it. But somewhere in there, that pride developed. Why? It's your reasons why. I don't know why, but everybody has a different reason why. But if you walk with pride, it'll grow into a monster, which when you're single, you think that's what makes you a man.
Well, the culture is saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're grown up guys saying, take pride in your work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's pride. I played on the football team, Mustang pride.
Yeah.
So pride is amplified as a virtue, but it's a semantic thing. The thing that they want you to have is confidence.
Confidence.
Walk in confidence. Pride says, I am the biggest deal on the block.
But see, even as you said right now, when you say pride, it makes me feel a certain way. When you say confidence, it makes me feel a different way.
But there's good pride and there's bad pride. I'm proud that I'm a father and I take care of my kids.
Sure, but a guy that's going around in pride is like a guy wearing giant clown shoes that stick 3 feet out. He can't go through life without people stepping on his toes.
Right.
So he's always complaining, everybody's against me, everybody's got it wrong, I'm the only one that's got it right. And he doesn't see he's dressed as a clown.
Right.
Anybody can see that from the outside. He can't see it.
Right.
But yeah, you enter into a marriage full of pride that you're going to do what a man does because you're going to be the man of this house. And my wife's going to submit to me like the Apostle Paul told me, and that she's going to stand by her man no matter what her man does, no matter what kind of a jerk I am.
Yeah.
Then,
we got it wrong.
Yeah. You're running the Titanic into the iceberg.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine. He was telling me he's just complaining about his wife, right? And he's going on, and she's saying this and this. I said, hey, I almost said his name. I said, hey, friend, why don't you make? And it was a Friday. I said, why don't you make this weekend all about her? And you know her better than anyone else. Why don't you make it the best possible weekend she would love? And you know what to do. And he's all, nah. I was like, okay, I officially give up on you, man. There's no.
What's your second choice?
Yeah, exactly. But there's that selfishness too, man. Men can be selfish.
It's me time. About me.
Yeah.
I deserve it.
We know our wives. Why not make a weekend for her? You know, why not? Well, you know, she want to visit her sister. I hate that. But okay, here I am. You know, and I won't be a jerk about it. I'll be nice about it. You know, there's ways we could do things for our wives, but it's off our selfish radars, honestly.
Yeah. Now, here's a tip how to manage this, because we're talking about a lot of natural male environmental issues. Just recognize that you are filled with pride.
Yeah.
I recognize that myself. Yeah. It's not like I got to avoid pride.
Yeah.
No, the pride grows out of me. It's not a thing I run into or step into like a dog patty in the yard.
Right.
So just recognize, as a man, I'm filled with pride. I'm selfish. I want what I want. This is the way that I am. It's part of my nature. Now, the real issue is, how am I going to manage that?
All right.
How am I going to keep those aspects of me from harming my wife, from hurting her? And, you know, what a man craves the most in a relationship with a woman is respect.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That's a huge
When
one.
my wife gives me the respect when she says, you're my man, and I'm following wherever you take me. Oh, man, that is the crack of male. Okay, but what a woman treasures most and what she's seeking most is that love and affection. Accept me. Accept me.
Exactly.
Okay, those two things are very foreign to the one that doesn't own them.
Yeah.
That need for I just said it. The need that the man craves that respect, that need for respect, that's kind of a foreign thing to a woman.
Yeah.
If you dump a bunch of respect, and this has happened in my marriage, well, I'll come and I'll dump a whole truckload of respect because I know what respect is. It's the most awesome thing in the world. So, of course, I'm thinking that's what my wife wants. Boy, you do such a good job in the house, and the way that you clean the house is great, and the way you made that food. And what she's hearing is, I'm a maid.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're dumping all this stuff. I don't know what all that is. Yeah. What she's craving is this warm affection and this acceptance.
Talk to her.
Yeah. Well, when she dumps her load, her need on me, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's complicated too, because what did they say? There's 7 love languages.
Yeah.
And you could be giving your wife love in a way she doesn't even understand it as love. Like I used to work a lot, and overtime was no big deal. I would 16 hours, I wouldn't sweat it. And I thought I was loving her. I'm providing for her. You know, she stays home with the kids. And I didn't understand that my wife's love language is time. And that killing myself at work, it didn't really add up to a lot of love equity.
And I relate with you because I thought keeping the lights on, making sure they have a plush life, even if I'm missing in action because I'm working 30,000 hours, but they have food, they are able to do this, they have the right car, they have the good house. I'm loving them.
Yeah.
I hit that wall.
Yeah.
Where it was like, nah, you're not even the provider, dude.
Yeah.
He's the provider. What she wants is her husband home. I've heard my wife tell me, I don't care if we lived in a shack as long as you're here with me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't understand that. I was like, what are you talking about? You're ungrateful.
Yeah. You know how much I'm killing myself out there? Yeah.
But we got it so wrong. And you know what I was going to say? You reminded me of something again when you were talking about giving each other that respect and that love. What if you were to sit down with your girlfriend right before you're going to get engaged and you say, okay, I really love you and I dig you and I want to marry you. But when we're married, I want to be able to go with my boys. I want to be able to get into my fixing my old car. I want to, and then I'll fit you in somewhere. I bet you anything the girl's going to be like, you're nuts.
I know, right?
Well, listen to everything you're saying. Ow, ow, ow. It's
vice versa. If the girl was to tell you, I love you, honey, so much, but I want you to love me 24/7, always be with me. And when I go with my girlfriends, you sit here and wait for me. And when I come back and I cry to you because of something they said to me, I shoulder to lean on. You guys are going to, everybody's going to be like, wait a minute, who do you think I am? That's exactly what you need.
Really, a man goes, ew.
Women are different creatures.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that. And God made us beautifully different. And like you're saying about the love and the respect, we have to understand your wife needs love from you, the way she understands love. And your wife needs to understand this too. You need respect. Yeah. Women break down men a lot. And they don't even mean to because it's off their radar. You know, like I used to tell my wife loves looking at homes, right? Anytime they have new tracks, we'd go look at them. And we'd be inside the tracks and she's oh, I love this. Oh, look at that. Look at how big this is. And I have this little tiny 1952 track home, right, that we live in. And so I used to tell her this is my walk of shame. I go, you're pointing out every failure I cannot provide for you.
My God.
And she had no idea.
So you're walking around dragging your
and she's all energized about this beautiful stuff I can't afford.
That is funny. That is so funny.
That's like for subscribing to that magazine, Better Homes Than Yours.
It's really a march of failure. That's what it is. No, it's true though. It's funny. I wish we had more time. I just want to be sensitive to the time. I think we're hitting close to the 30-minute mark. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, guys, just to try to summarize, we kind of went all over the place, but one is tips for marriage. Know God. Know God first.
And foremost.
Yeah. You can't possibly master the things that we talked about here in this 30 minutes.
Exactly.
You got to hook up the Lord because He's the one that will give it to you portion by portion, the way you can digest it and lead you through.
Both of you, not just the man.
Right.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then get to know her. Take time.
Yes.
Go with your questions.
Right. Before you say I do.
Yeah.
Everything about her, in front and behind, everything about her.
Right.
And everything about him.
And I would say abide in Christ together. That's in my heart the secret sauce. Because even you may already be in marriage and you're not in where you exactly thought you would be. There's healing. There's hope. Apply these principles, guys, and I think you'll find good things come from it. So with that being said, we're going to close it out.
Let's pray for, Lord, somebody's heard what all this stuff that we brought out, God. And so I just pray, Father, you would sort out everything, the whole load, and you would help all those bits that need to be digested. And you'd raise a tribe of warrior men that will follow you and bless their wives on the earth. In the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you.